Arsenal and Sandro Tonali. Assessing the credibility, context, and consequences of a high-profile midfield link introduction. Why Tonali has entered Arsenal's transfer conversation. Arsenal's reported interest in Sandro Tonali has emerged at a moment when the club's long-term squad planning is under intense scrutiny. Having established themselves once again among Europe's elite, the Gunners now operate in a transfer market where marginal gains matter as much as headline signings. Every potential addition is weighed against tactical balance, financial sustainability, and future squad evolution. Tonali's name has surfaced not as a speculative link driven by agent noise alone, but as part of a broader discussion around midfield depth, durability, and elite-level control. While reports vary in their certainty, the connection itself reflects Arsenal's current status. A club targeting established international midfielders in their prime rather than developmental prospects. This article examines the Tonali link in full, separating rumor from reality, assessing Arsenal's motivation, Newcastle United's position, and the practical likelihood of such a deal materializing. Sandro Tonali. Profile of an elite modern midfielder. Sandro Tonali's rise has been defined by responsibility at an unusually young age. Breaking through at Brescia before becoming a cornerstone of AC Milan's midfield, he developed a reputation for tactical intelligence, composure in possession, and leadership qualities rarely found in players of his generation. At Milan, Tonali matured into a complete central midfielder, capable of operating as a deep-lying organizer or in a more dynamic box-to-box role. His understanding of space, pressing triggers, and defensive positioning made him integral to their domestic success and European competitiveness. Since joining Newcastle United, Tonali has adapted to the Premier League's intensity while retaining his defining qualities: positional discipline, accurate long-range distribution, and an ability to dictate tempo under pressure. He is not a specialist in one phase of play, but a multifunctional midfielder trusted to maintain structure in high-stakes matches. Why Arsenal are assessing the central midfield market again. From the outside, Arsenal's midfield appears well-stocked. Declan Rice anchors the team with authority, Martin Odegaard provides creative leadership, and rotation options offer tactical flexibility. Internally, however, Arsenal's recruitment department evaluates the squad through a longer lens. Several factors explain why central midfield remains under review. Workload management. Declan Rice has become indispensable across domestic and European competitions. Arsenal's data analysis highlights the risks associated with sustained overuse, particularly for players performing high-intensity defensive actions. Injury contingencies. Recent seasons have reinforced how quickly midfield depth can be tested. Arsenal's preference is to maintain elite-level quality even when rotating, rather than lowering the team's technical or physical ceiling. Tactical evolution. Arteta's system increasingly demands midfielders who can shift roles within matches. Defending deeper phases, initiating build-up, and sustaining pressure in advanced areas. Tonali's versatility aligns with this requirement. Champions League margins. At the highest level, Arsenal are competing against teams with multiple international-class midfielders. Depth is no longer a luxury, but a prerequisite. The nature of Arsenal's interest, monitoring rather than negotiating. Crucially, Arsenal's reported interest in Tonali should be understood within the club's established recruitment process. Arsenal operate with layered target lists, distinguishing between immediate opportunities, medium-term solutions, long-term elite targets. Tonali belongs firmly in the latter category. Arsenal's recruitment model involves extensive tracking of performance data, injury history, psychological profile, and tactical compatibility long before any formal approach is made. Interest at this stage does not necessarily indicate an imminent bid. There is at present no firm evidence of advanced negotiations. Rather, Arsenal appear to be maintaining awareness of Tonali's situation as part of broader midfield planning. Newcastle United's position: strategic resistance to a sale. From Newcastle United's perspective, Tonali is not a disposable asset. He represents both a sporting investment and a statement of intent. Selling him, particularly mid-season, would contradict the club's strategic messaging and competitive objectives. Several factors strengthen Newcastle's negotiating position. Sporting centrality Tonali is integral to Newcastle's midfield structure and long-term vision. Financial independence. Unlike selling clubs under pressure, Newcastle do not require player sales to balance accounts. Market signaling. Allowing a key midfielder to leave for a domestic rival would weaken Newcastle's standing in future negotiations. As a result, any discussion around Tonali begins from a position of resistance rather than openness. Financial implications for Arsenal possess the financial capacity to pursue a player of Tonali's caliber, but capacity does not automatically translate to intent. A transfer would likely command a fee well beyond conventional midfield valuations, potentially exceeding recent club records. Such an outlay would have consequences. Reduced flexibility in other priority areas, particularly attack long-term wage structure considerations. Opportunity cost and squad distribution. Arsenal's recent recruitment history suggests a preference for strategic balance over single dominant expenditures, unless the player represents a transformative solution. Tactical integration. How Tonali would fit under Arteta. From a footballing standpoint, Tonali's compatibility with Arsenal's system is evident. With Declan Rice, a Rice-Tonali pairing would provide exceptional defensive stability and transitional control. Either player could anchor midfield phases, allowing rotational flexibility without sacrificing structure. With Martin Odegaard, Tonali's positional awareness would enable Odegaard greater freedom in advanced zones, increasing Arsenal's creative output without compromising defensive coverage. Game state management. In high-pressure matches, Tonali's composure and experience would aid Arsenal's ability to control tempo rather than react to it. The tactical upside is clear, which explains Arsenal's continued monitoring. Risks and strategic hesitations. Despite the appeal, Arsenal must weigh several risks. Resource allocation, midfield reinforcement versus attacking output squad. Hierarchy, integrating another elite midfielder without disrupting balance. Marginal gains versus priority needs. Whether Tonali represents the most impactful use of funds, Arsenal's leadership is acutely aware that elite squads are shaped as much by restraint as ambition. Ademola Lookman's £30 million. Transfer would be music to Arsenal and Andrea Berta's ears. In the complex ecosystem of modern football transfers, some deals resonate far beyond the selling and buying clubs. Ademola Lookman's potential £30 million move away from Atalanta is one such transfer. A deal that, on the surface, appears simple, but beneath it carries strategic implications for Arsenal and their newly influential recruitment brain, Andrea Berta. For both the North London club and their sporting leadership, Lookman's situation represents validation, opportunity, and a reminder of how smart talent identification can pay dividends years down the line. Lookman's career arc has not followed the straight-line trajectory often associated with elite attackers. Instead, it has been defined by adaptation, resilience, and reinvention. From his early days in England to his current status as one of Serie A's most decisive wide forwards, Lookman's rise has been gradual but emphatic. Now, with a £30 million price tag attached to his name, his next move could echo loudly at Arsenal, a club that understands his value perhaps better than most. For Arsenal, Lookman's resurgence is not just an external storyline. It reflects a broader truth about the modern market. Elite attackers with pace, pressing intelligence, and end product rarely come cheap anymore. A £30 million valuation for a proven peak-age forward in today's market almost feels conservative. That is precisely why the noise around Lookman's future will be welcomed at the Emirates, especially by Andrea Berta, whose reputation has been built on extracting maximum value from dynamic, tactically flexible attackers. Andrea Berta's influence on Arsenal's recruitment strategy is becoming increasingly visible. Known for his work in continental football, Berta has long favored players who combine athletic explosiveness with tactical discipline. Forwards who can operate across multiple roles without sacrificing productivity. Lookman fits that profile almost perfectly. Whether as a left winger, right-sided attacker, or central forward in a fluid system, he offers adaptability that aligns with Arsenal's positional play framework under Mikel Arteta. While Lookman is not currently an Arsenal player, his market movement has indirect consequences for the club. First, it recalibrates the attacking market. If Lookman commands £30 million, it reinforces the value of Arsenal's own wide players and raises the baseline for negotiations involving similar profiles. Second, it strengthens Arsenal's leverage when evaluating alternatives. Clubs seeking attacking reinforcements will be forced to weigh whether to chase Lookman or pivot to younger, less proven options, some of whom Arsenal already possess. From Berta's perspective, Lookman's valuation is symbolic. It confirms that the market now rewards exactly the kind of players Arsenal have been targeting. High-intensity attackers who thrive in transition, but are also comfortable in structured possession. Lookman's evolution in Italy, particularly his improved decision-making and finishing, has turned him from a raw talent into a reliable match winner. That transformation mirrors the development pathway Arsenal are trying to replicate internally with their own young forwards. There is also a subtle financial angle that makes this potential transfer particularly pleasing for Arsenal's hierarchy. In a market where elite wingers regularly exceed £60 to £70 million, a £30 million deal for Lookman highlights inefficiencies Arsenal can exploit. It underlines the importance of looking beyond the Premier League bubble, where prices are often inflated by domestic competition and broadcasting revenue. Berta's background in European scouting gives Arsenal an edge in identifying value before it becomes obvious. Tactically, Lookman's profile sheds light on the type of attacker Arsenal continue to prioritize. He is direct without being reckless, explosive without being one-dimensional. His pressing from the front, willingness to track back, and ability to attack space behind defenses align closely with Arteta's demands. Even if Arsenal are not directly pursuing him, his valuation reinforces the logic behind their recruitment strategy. Players with these attributes are not only effective on the pitch, but also hold strong resale value. For Arsenal's existing attackers, Lookman's potential move acts as a market signal. It confirms that consistent output in a top European league translates into tangible financial value. That matters for squad planning. When Arsenal evaluate contract renewals, extensions, or potential sales, Lookman's £30 million figure becomes a reference point. It strengthens the club's hand in negotiations, particularly when dealing with clubs looking to underpay for proven performers. There is also an emotional undertone to this story. Lookman's journey serves as a reminder that player development is rarely linear. Arsenal, like many elite clubs, have learned that patience and environment matter as much as raw talent. Seeing a player like Lookman command significant interest after refining his game abroad reinforces the idea that the right system can unlock potential that once seemed dormant. For Berta, whose career has been defined by placing players in environments where they can thrive, this is a quiet affirmation of his philosophy. From a broader strategic standpoint, Lookman's transfer could influence Arsenal's summer planning. If he moves early and sets a £30 million benchmark, it may trigger a chain reaction. Clubs that miss out on him will turn to alternative targets, potentially increasing demand and prices for similar profiles. Arsenal, armed with depth in wide areas and emerging academy talents, may find themselves. Still only 16 years old, Dowman has already forced his way into conversations usually reserved for established professionals. Arsenal's handling of his contract is not just a formality, it is a statement of intent, a strategic move designed to protect a rare asset in an increasingly aggressive transfer market. Max Dowman's rise has been rapid, eye-catching, and deliberate. Arsenal have not rushed him recklessly, but they have also not hidden him away. The club believes in exposing elite young talents to high-pressure environments early, and Dowman has thrived under that philosophy. His technical quality, tactical intelligence, and composure well beyond his years have made him one of the most talked-about teenagers in English football. Naturally, this has brought intense interest from rival clubs, both domestic and abroad. Arsenal's response has been decisive, a pre-agreement that secures Dowman's long-term future once he becomes eligible to sign professional terms. At the heart of Dowman's contract story lies a simple regulatory reality. Under English FA and Premier League rules, players cannot sign a full professional contract until they turn 17. Until then, they remain on youth or scholarship terms. Dowman, having turned 16, is currently on a scholarship contract with Arsenal. However, in January 2026, the club reached a pre-agreement with the player and his representatives that will see him sign his first professional contract on his 17th birthday, which falls on December 31st, 2026. This agreement does not yet activate the professional deal, but it effectively locks in his future and protects Arsenal from late approaches by rival clubs. The significance of this pre-agreement cannot be overstated. In recent years, English clubs have lost elite young players to European sides who exploit contractual loopholes or offer clearer first-team pathways. Arsenal themselves have experienced this frustration in the past. With Dowman, they have moved early, offering not just financial security, but a carefully mapped development plan that aligns with Arteta's vision for the club. The message is clear. Arsenal see Dowman not merely as an academy prospect, but as a future first-team player. Dowman's talent profile explains why Arsenal are so determined to secure him. Primarily operating as an attacking midfielder or advanced winger, he combines close control with an ability to manipulate space in tight areas. His decision-making is unusually mature, often choosing the simplest and most effective option rather than forcing highlight reel moments. Coaches within the club have repeatedly highlighted his football intelligence, noting that he understands positional play and pressing triggers at a level uncommon for his age. These traits align perfectly with Arteta's tactical demands. From a contractual perspective, Arsenal's plan is believed to involve a multi-year professional deal once Dowman turns 17, likely running for 3 to 5 years with performance-related incentives and incremental wage increases tied to appearances and development milestones. While financial details have not been publicly disclosed, it is understood that the club intends to place Dowman among the higher earners in the academy to first-team transition bracket, reflecting his status as one of the most highly rated prospects at Hale End. Importantly, Arsenal's contract strategy is not solely about money. Dowman's representatives have reportedly been impressed by the club's clear pathway to senior football. Unlike some elite academies where young players struggle to break through due to expensive signings blocking their progress, Arsenal have demonstrated a willingness to trust youth. Bukayo Saka, Emile Smith-Rowe, Eddie Nketiah, and Rice Nelson all serve as recent examples of academy players who have been integrated into the first team. Dowman is being positioned as the next in that lineage. The timing of the pre-agreement also reflects Arsenal's awareness of growing external pressure. European giants have monitored Dowman closely, particularly clubs in Germany and Spain, where young English talents have increasingly found opportunities and exposure. By securing a pre-contract well in advance, Arsenal have effectively neutralized much of that threat. While no agreement is completely immune to future changes, this move gives the club a strong legal and relational foundation. From Dowman's perspective, the contract situation represents both stability and expectation. Signing a pre-agreement with a club of Arsenal's stature is a vote of confidence, but it also comes with increased scrutiny. Every training session, youth match, and senior appearance will be analyzed through the lens of future stardom. Arsenal's support structures, including mentoring, sports psychology, and physical development programs, will be critical in ensuring that Dowman's growth remains steady and sustainable. Arteta's role in this process should not be underestimated. The Arsenal manager is known for his hands-on approach with young players, often engaging directly in their development plans. Dowman has already trained with the first team on multiple occasions, gaining exposure to the intensity and tactical complexity of senior football. This involvement is likely to increase gradually over the next 12 months, aligning perfectly with the timeline of his professional contract activation.